Ryan Day's leadership was pivotal to Ohio State winning the national championship.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Hump Day edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And during today's show, we'll discuss one thing Ryan Day did Monday night, as well as dive into the gauntlet the Buckeyes just defeated. But before we get to any of that, Ryan Day's leadership was pivotal to Ohio State winning the national championship. And this is something I think it's huge for Ryan Day, the leadership that he provides for Ohio State. It wasn't just something we saw on Monday night. We have seen it all throughout his career at Ohio State, that his leadership has helped Ohio State be very successful, stack wins, and be in the spot they're currently in. If you think back to Ryan Day's first beginnings in Columbus, you saw growth from JT Barrett as a passer. 2018, you saw Dwayne Haskins have a phenomenal year. And then now if you fast forward to today, you see Ryan Day's fingerprints all over the Ohio State program from beginning until now. And his leadership has been one of the biggest things that's been the most amazing thing about him while he is there. His leadership has helped Ohio State get the players that they have on the team. His leadership has helped the coaches be better on game day. He's learned from his own mistakes. And Ryan Day's leadership was pivotal on Monday night, because if it wasn't for his leadership, they wouldn't have been there. If you go back to the meeting that's been talked about all around the country that happened after the Michigan loss, it was all the players and Ryan Day. And Ryan Day took accountability for what happened that day where Ohio State didn't do what was needed to win. The coaches dropped the ball. But Ryan Day took accountability. He looked inward and said, I messed up. Those were his exact words. And when you say that to your players, to your team, in a 3-hour meeting where people got things off their chest, but also you realize these guys are all in. These guys are bought into the reality that we still have an opportunity in front of us to accomplish the ultimate goal, the ultimate prize, which is to win the national championship. Now, Ryan Day said after that in numerous interviews, the goal was to always get to the playoff. Great, you're there. Now, getting to the playoff is one thing. Winning the ultimate prize is another. And Ryan Day, with the leadership that he has and him growing right before our very eyes and his young tenure as a head coach in college football, you got the coaches on board and you're shifting things on the fly, the players on board, and then all of a sudden you say, let's tap into this gear that we have waited 12 games to tap into. And the next thing you know, the Buckeyes offense tapped into overdrive. Tennessee got a whiff of it. Oregon couldn't handle it. Texas slowed it a little bit, but Ryan Day said, oh, no. We got more buttons to push. We have another gear. 14-point win there. Oh, against Notre Dame. We have some things we can do to secure this win. We're Ohio State, and sometimes may have tried to throw the ball a little bit more, or maybe they would not have been as protective of the football late, especially after a fumble. Ryan Day says, no. We got to secure this win. I know what we got. We haven't ran Will Howard very much all season. We saved him for this. And all of a sudden now, Will Howard ran 16 times in that game. Yeah, he was feeling it the next day. But all of this goes back to Ryan Day's leadership. And there have been a lot of people that have been wondering about Ryan Day and can he get it done in the big game, or what kind of coach is he? A lot of people don't question his leadership because you see how the players act around him. You see the reaction when the Ohio State won the national championship. I have the image imprinted in my brain, in my mind, of Josh Fryer and Carson Hinsman taking that Gatorade bucket, dumping it on Ryan Day being overjoyed. You know who was right there with him? Brandon Ennis. In a video, it was either after the Rose Bowl or the Cotton Bowl, he said, hey, man, stop talking bad about my dog, man. And these players love him. Absolutely love him. And it's not just loving him because he's a coach that just wins. It's his leadership and how he helps them on the field and off the field. And I guarantee if you talk to every player, the starters, the non-starters, even the walk-ons, they'll talk about Ryan Day's leadership and the importance of it for them individually being there, but also for the team being as successful as it has been. Think back to 2023, 2022, 2021. Think about any year Ryan Day has been at Ohio State. The players that he has interacted with, the players that he has coached on a regular basis, they will tell you that Ryan Day's leadership is a big reason why they are the player that they were and that they had the success that they had. It's unfortunate, man. It's also, we saw Jonathan Cooper and Maurice Clarett and Geno Smith out there at the game supporting his cousin Jeremiah Smith, and so many players on the sideline, some that were coached by Ryan Day, some that have a relative in Geno Smith that is currently being coached by Ryan Day. They'll all talk to you about Ryan Day's leadership, how important it has been, the magnitude of it, the scope of it, and why Ryan Day is a coach that he is. His leadership was pivotal, man. Do you think that a normal coach in the sixth year that happens to wind up in the national championship would have done some of the things Ryan Day did? Would have pushed some of the buttons Ryan Day did? Even before getting to the Natty, Ohio State re-engineered their defense in the middle of the season. Now, one, you have to have the players capable of doing that. Because there's a lot of teams out there that want to re-engineer things, want to change some things up, but they don't have the personnel, the players that have the smarts to change things on the fly like that. I remember LeBron James talking about when he's played on various teams in the NBA. Sometimes the coach will draw something up, and it's a play going to the right. And then all of a sudden, the coach sees how the opposing team is trying to defend him. He says, no, go to the left. And LeBron James says there are players out there, they can't flip that thing. Well, Ryan Day realized he had guys on his team that could flip, that could shift on the fly and work with different looks, try different things out. And it was very, very successful. And Ryan Day would not have done that. I don't believe Ryan Day would have done that early in his career, but via the success that he's had, the experience mainly that he's had, and also tapping into various resources like a Chip Kelly, like a Jim Tressel, and Urban Meyer, and other coaches that that have come across his way throughout his coaching career and even playing career. That's how we got to where we are now with Ryan Day's leadership. There are things that happen on Monday night, buttons that were pushed, that an experienced coach does. There are things that Ryan Day decided to do or maybe not to do that an experienced coach does. No, he's not 60 or 70 years old, and it's not experience in age and doing this thing for 30 or 40 years. No. Ryan Day's had a lot of experience. He's gone through a lot of things while he's been the head man there in Columbus. And Ryan Day has learned from those things, but also it's helped him be a better leader for the entire team. And I can't get out of my mind. I hope I never lose the sight of the reaction the players had, the joy that was in their heart. I mean, on their faces, on their body. The fact that there was a video, a short clip of inside the locker room when Ryan Day yelled, "We just won the Natty." And all of a sudden I see Josh Fryer, who's right to Ryan Day's right on a knee, put both hands up and just excitement. And I see other players there just overjoyed. These guys love him. These guys were bought into Ryan Day. And one, a lot of them came back because of Ryan Day. They had unfinished business, but also they came back with unfinished business in mind, but believing that Ryan Day would lead them to the promised land like he did on Monday night. While leading them to the promised land on Monday night, the Buckeyes had a tough road to get to the Natty, and they defeated that gauntlet. We'll dive into that tough road next. This message is brought to you by PrizePicks, the place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings, PrizePicks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports. Whether it's the playoffs or regular season, PrizePicks has made it easier than ever to win big while enjoying all the football action. Now, it's playoff time, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with PrizePicks. Here's how it works. You simply pick more or less on at least two players, and if your picks hit, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Yes, that's right. 1,000 times your money just by making a few simple picks. Ready to run your game this football season? Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 just for playing. Don't wait. Take your game to the next level with PrizePicks. PrizePicks. Run your game. Thank y'all for tapping into Locked On Buckeyes and making this your first listen of the day. Ohio State had a tough gauntlet, had a tough road throughout the regular season. The Big Ten schedule late got a whole lot tougher than many of us predicted it would be. Also in the playoff, the thing got tougher and tougher and tougher, and Ryan Day and Ohio State found a way to defeat that gauntlet. And it's a gauntlet out there that many schools around the country wouldn't be able to run through. Even some of the best in the sport in this season or last season or previous years. There have been some great schools in the country that if you look at what Ohio State had to deal with, they would have said, "Oh no, man! Oh no! We not trying to do all that. Nope. Brian Day, you could go ahead and be our guest, handle that thing, tackle that gauntlet. You can go ahead and try to. No. I am cool with that 14 playoff. Or I am cool with just the AP poll voting who the national champion is going to be. I don't want to deal with that." But Ryan Day said, "Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Y'all don't want to deal with it. I'm ready to conquer it." That's exactly what happened. This man saw a tough road. This man saw a 12-team playoff where he was the number 8 seed in the bracket. As wild as that is, that's the reality. And Ryan Day said, "Look, is it Tennessee? Maybe. If it's somebody else, cool. We're going to prepare like we're going to win this thing." And we had 4 games left. You start a playoff and you say you have 4 games left, you may say, "Man, that's cute." Yeah, I mean, everybody says that. Man, everybody knows, like, you may say that. You may not be going through it because, man, y'all ain't played that well through the regular season. Oh, wait. Ain't played that well. Ohio State played very well in the regular season. Not up to the standard that we saw them play it in the playoff, but Ohio State played very well in the regular season. And the next thing you know, after that loss to Michigan, it kind of got rejuvenized, realized we need to tap into a different gear, and all of a sudden Ohio State played the number 7 team in the country, the number 1 team in the country, the number 4 team in the country, and the number 3 team in the country in a row. 42 points were scored against the number 7 team, 41 against the number 1 team, 28 points against the number 4 team, and 34 points against the number 3 team. Think about how wild that is. With how Ohio State played in the regular season and how Ohio State looked against Michigan, for them to take that about a month off, about 3 weeks off, really, and for them to play like that, hats off to Ryan Day, man. Because his leadership is exactly why they're able to conquer that gauntlet. But if you look even further in this season, Ohio State played 5 top 5 teams. Top 10? 1, 2. Yes, 5 top 5 teams. They won 5 top 5 games. They played more than 5, but they won 5 top 5 games this year. That's insane. As I'm looking at my computer right now, they played 7 teams that were ranked at the top 7. They only lost 1 of those games. That was a 1-point loss to Oregon. In the regular season, they beat the thin number 3 team in Penn State. They beat the number 5 team in Indiana. That's wild. The fact that in the 14 playoff, the 12-team playoff, the first year of it, Ohio State had already played 3 teams that were ranked in the top 5. They were 2-1 in those matchups. And then in the playoff, they played 3 more. And those were the final 3 games of the season. And they won that. That's just wild to me. So Ohio State's last few games of the season, you played the number 5 team, you played your arch rival, and then you played 4 teams in a row that were ranked between 7 and 1. And you won all those games. An average coach doesn't get that done. And I know there's been coaches out there that aren't at Ryan Day's level. I'm thinking of a few right now that were good. They're not at what Ryan Day, Coach Ed Orgeron, Gus Malzahn. No, Gus didn't win a national championship. Gene Chizik, excuse me, And Ed Orgeron. Gene Chizik got Cam Newton. That's something somebody is going to be tied into Will Howard. We'll talk about that possibly later on tomorrow's show. But Gene Chizik in 2010, Coach O in 2019, they are not in Ryan Day's category. No. There are also guys that aren't coaching right now in college football. Now, Coach O got a fat buyout, and so I don't know if he's going to come back. He may be out there in the Caribbean just living the life right now. I don't know where he is. Gene Chizik could come back. He may be coaching again. I know he was on TV for a while. He could be coaching, but I know he's not a head coach. He just got Cam Newton. And that was a guy that was already in the SEC, left Florida, went to the JUCO, came back to the SEC 1 year there, and Cam Newton had that Cam back, and Cam Newton did some phenomenal things and led Auburn to a national championship. But if you were to say, Gene Chizik, this is your path to a national championship, and you were to say, hey, we know you got to play your rival in rivalry week, but on October 12th, you got to play the number 3 team. And then 2 games later, you got to play the number 3 team. And then 3 games later, you got to play the number 5 team. Then your rival. And then you got to play 4 teams that are ranked between number 7 and number 1. He would have said, we might lose 2 or 3 of those. We may lose 1 of those. But we're not going to run through the thing. That's what happened. And as I'm talking about it, it makes me grow and have more appreciation for Ryan Day and be more excited for what Ryan Day is as a person. So I think Ryan Day's leadership, it goes deeper than football, as every football coach does. Every football coach out there, I can think about the football coaches that I've enjoyed being coached by or have been coached by. Sometimes I didn't enjoy it because, Coach Fees, we'll talk about him in a second. Coach Fees is my favorite coach, but homie was not afraid to use some 4-letter words to kind of get you to do some things you needed to do. But Ryan Day is a guy, when you think about Ryan Day, the football coach, these guys are family to him. He already said Jack Sawyer's like family. And he helps you in areas that aren't just on the football field, which makes you want to go harder for him on the football field because he cares about you more than just stacking more wins in his win-loss record and raising his win percentage and all of the things that happen when you are very successful as a football coach. Ryan Day saw that gauntlet. Ryan Day knew the tough task ahead. Ryan Day walked into college football for the very first time in the Ohio State in the 4-team playoff era. Next thing you know, there's the COVID. This is after he took over as a head coach. There's the COVID. There's a long dead period of recruiting. There's that dead period being lifted. Then there's NIL introduced. And then there's the transfer portal. Then there's more talk about expansion of the playoff. And then there's a house settlement that's going to be allowing schools to pay players. So not only can players get money via NIL, but they're able to get money from the school. And all of a sudden, recruiting is different. It's more intense, and it's tougher than it ever has been. And Ryan Day sees every challenge, and he's trying to get a better handle on it, all while attacking a tough gauntlet. Ryan Day got the job done. And we could talk days and days and days about the Big Ten schedule, about the physicality of the Big Ten, about what it takes when you have guys that were banged up previously that are coming back this year. TreVeyon Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, insane to think about Ryan Day got both of those guys to buy in to getting less touches for the team to be more successful in the long run. That's insane. The fact that Quinshon Judkins was the dude down there at Ole Miss, was the former SEC player of the year, freshman of the year, a guy whose stats and numbers speak for themselves. And he said, hey, I'll take less on my plate, take about half of what's on my plate normally, push that off to the side so we can win the Natty. And that's what happens. And I don't think that right there happens, along with a lot of other things that happen this year, if Ryan Day does not tackle this gauntlet head on, and Ryan Day does not tackle the gauntlet and just the long road of the season head on and say, whatever we got to do to win, whatever it takes, leave no doubt. Ryan Day left no doubt. He did whatever it takes to win the national championship. And he saw that gauntlet, that tough road, and says, oh, I see what's in front of me. Let's go ahead and run right through that thing. And while Ryan Day ran right through that thing, and his leadership was very pivotal to Ohio State winning the national championship, he made a major statement that his critics don't like. We'll dive into that next. This episode is brought to you by Talkspace. Therapy is a game changer. It can help manage stress, improve sleep, and communicate more effectively. But finding the right therapist and fitting sessions into a busy schedule can be a challenge. That's where Talkspace comes in. Talkspace, the leading virtual therapy provider, makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. With Talkspace, signing up is simple. You can match with a licensed therapist who fits your needs, usually within 48 hours, and it's convenient. You can have sessions from the comfort of your home and even message your therapist between appointments. As a listener of this podcast, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege and enter promo code SPACE80 to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege and enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege, promo code SPACE80. Thank y'all for tapping into Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Ryan Day has made a major statement that his critics don't like. There are a lot of Buckeye fans out there. There are a lot of people around the country that have been very critical of Ryan Day, that are maybe even still on this day, on this hump day, after Ohio State won the national championship, are being very critical of Ryan Day. And I'm just going to sit up here. If you're one of those people, or if you know someone that's doing that, stop. If you're not being critical, but you are hearing someone be critical, stop them. If you are being critical of Ryan Day, stop. How are you being critical of a man that just won the national championship? He is one of 5 Ohio State coaches to win the national championship. He is one of 3 Ohio State coaches to win the national championship game. Woody Hayes won 5 national championships. The national championship game was not around back then. Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer, and Ryan Day, all 3 of them have won the national championship game and 3 different variations of the national championship game. There was the BCS system where, hey, one of our BCS bowls will be the national championship game, and you see that Ohio State won that. All of a sudden, the 14 playoff. Urban Meyer had to first get into the playoff because Ohio State was on the outside looking in. They smacked Wisconsin. Then they jumped TCU into the 4th spot. They beat Alabama. Then they beat Oregon, win the national championship. Then all of a sudden this year, this playoff run was different than the first playoff run when Ohio State went to the Natty under Ryan Day. 2020 season, it was the 14 playoff, similar to Urban Meyer. Didn't win it. This year, you got to run through 4 really good teams. 4 of the best teams in the country to win the Natty. And he did that. And there's going to be people out there trying to be critical of Ryan Day and say, well, he didn't beat Michigan. And Ryan Day, he don't do this. And he don't do... Stop. Just stop. Why are you trying to be critical of a man that is one of 3 active head coaches that have won a national championship? The other 2, Dabo Swinney and Kirby Smart. You're in that exclusive group right now. Not only are you one of 3 Ohio State coaches to win the national championship game, you're one of 5 Ohio State coaches to ever win a national championship. You're one of 3 head coaches, active head coaches, to win a national championship. That's ridiculous. Yes, I know Mac Brown just left and retired, and it would have been 4. If it was 4 instead of 3, the conversation is still the same. You're in such an exclusive group that most people right now in the sport couldn't even get close to it. Here's another exclusive group Ryan Day is in. Ryan Day is in the 3rd spot all time with his winning percentage of all coaches that have coached over 50 games. Let that sink in for you. I believe Knute Rockne is number 1. I don't know who 2 is or 3 is or 4 is, but you gonna look at them pictures? Some of them got pictures that are in black and white of those guys that are in this exclusive group. So Ryan Day continues to be in an exclusive classification of coaching, either in Ohio State or in just the country currently or in the sport all time. Why are you trying to be critical of this man? What has he not done to get your respect? You can't say he didn't beat Michigan. He hasn't beat Michigan yet. He did that in year 1. Yeah, I know there's a 4-game losing streak. I understand that. But the man won the national championship right after losing to that team. Maybe the one of the 2 worst coaching performances of his time here in Columbus. And I can say it's the worst because the Cotton Bowl, while it was a poor game plan, your starting quarterback was gone. Your QB2 got hurt. You're down to your third-string quarterback that's never seen extended playing time. You're moving the right guard to center. I mean, there was poor coaching decisions going into the game. But if you have Kyle McCord, I think Ohio State wins that. Even with some of the other stuff that went on in that day, I think Kyle McCord would have led Ohio State to victory over Missouri because the defense did their job. Oh, was that a 10-3 win for Missouri? The defense did their job. Think about it. Think about it. Ryan Day, once again, is showing everybody, hey, you going to doubt me? You going to try and push me back? You going to try to say I'm crazy for some of the stuff I do, or you're kind of I'm insane for saying leave no doubt and do whatever it takes? You can say whatever you want to. We've been critical of him here. Not right now. No. Because there were times that Ryan Day didn't back up his talk, and the team didn't back up their talk. They did during the playoff. And when Emeka Egbuka, I believe it was before the Cotton Bowl, during the pregame warm-up, and he had a speech to some of the players, he said, hey, this ain't going to be my last game. My last game is going to be on January 20th. And he was right. It wasn't just on January 20th. He, at the end of the day, lifted up that trophy of winning a national championship along with Ryan Day, who helped lead him there, who was very pivotal in Emeka Egbuka winning to come to Ohio State, who was very pivotal to Emeka Egbuka staying at Ohio State, because Emeka Egbuka could have gone to the NFL, would have been at worst a second-round pick, would have made millions of dollars, and would have been a great pro. I can't wait to see Emeka Egbuka be a pro. Maybe he comes to the Indianapolis Colts. I would love that, honestly. I know they need a lot of help, and if you bring that guy in alongside Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman Jr., hey, hello. You got Josh Downs too, Caleb Downs' brother. We gravy. Those are your 4 receivers, and we gonna make this thing rock. Well, once they get a quarterback, that could be Will Howard. We'll talk about him later on in the week, possibly tomorrow. All this go back to Ryan Day. You may have questioned Ryan Day's decision to bring in Will Howard. You can't question it now. You may have questioned Ryan Day's decision to give up play calling. You can't question it now. You may have questioned Ryan Day's decision to bring in Chip Kelly, who Ryan Day says he trusts with his life. You can't question it now. You may have questioned some of the things that he allowed the defense to do. They righted the ship. You may have questioned him keeping Larry Johnson on the team. You saw some of the ways that the defensive line played in the second half of the year, especially in the playoff. You can't question that. There's a lot of things Ryan Day has done that people have questioned and said, why are you doing this? And why are you doing that? This don't make any sense. And all you can say now is, congratulations, Ryan Day. You got the job done. I've been a critic of you, and I'm not speaking of me right now in general, even though I have been. I've been a critic of you, and I've been overly critical. I've just been disgusted with some of the things you've done. There's fans out there that say stuff like that. You can't say it now. And if it comes to your mind to criticize Ryan Day for the things he has done, stop. Just stop. Get off your high horse. Look what this man just did. He won the national championship. He's one of 3 active coaches to win a national championship. He is one of 5 Ohio State head coaches to ever win a national championship. He is one of 3 Ohio State head coaches to ever win the national championship game. And he is one of those guys that's on a path to be a college football Hall of Famer. Young in his career, I understand. Only 6 years as a head coach. But let's just say Ryan Day keeps doing what he's been doing. What's to say? And if he stays on this path, he won't be a Hall of Famer. I think he will be. His leadership is a big reason. The gauntlet he ran through is a big reason. And all that did is silenced those critics. Y'all, we up out of here on a hump day. We got 2 more days left of shows. I don't, off the top of my head, know when the next Buckeye basketball game will be. But whatever that is, we will have another show reacting to that game. We had one reacted to Ohio State's comeback win over Purdue last night. That's been in your feed since last night. And we'll try to just instantly react to those in a shorter format than we did during the football season. You can follow me on X at jstevens07 or any social media platform for that matter. You can send every email to jstevens317 at gmail.com. Buckeye fans, we're up out of here on a hump day. We'll see you next time.